So you. Okay. Item 33, Clay Dafoe is signed up against. Clay Dafoe. So you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for staying along. We've been here, 8 hours, 9 hours? First, I'd like to preface this item for the Downtown Rangers, this grant money, $30,000 from the Downtown Austin Alliance. I'd like to preface it by saying I signed up to speak on 15 items today, and I've read the rules of the city, and it appears that they are in violation of their own rules. They're only allowing me to speak 3 times. I'd be happy to discuss it later. Citizen participation, section 2527B. Except as provided in subsection 29, the presiding officer should not refuse permission to speak to a person who has registered to speak, who is present, which I was, and ready to speak, which I was, unless the hearing or consideration of the item which a person has registered to speak has been continued to a later meeting. You are in violation, Council. I will also say the Constitution says the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights, ratified in 1791, Congress shall make no law prohibiting the free exercise of speech and the ability for citizens to redress their government with grievances. Now that is a paraphrase. The model for that amendment was written by George Mason, a patriot from Virginia. I hope you know the name. The Virginia Declaration of Rights says, the freedom of press and speech shall not be abridged and can only be restrained by despotic governments. That is a patriot speaking. Now to the item. Let's read it very briefly. I'm running out of time because I had to go into all that. They're not allowing me to speak, citizens, and they will do the same thing to you. So watch out. Our democracy is at stake. All right, what are we at? 33, approve an ordinance, $30,725 from the Downtown Austin Alliance to the police budget to appropriate an additional $30,000 for the Downtown Ranger program. I've been downtown. There's a ton of police there, especially at night. My friend almost got ran over by one of the ones on horseback who was being discourteous. And I'd like to say we don't need the Rangers. I used to live in another city. They had a similar program. They wore yellow shirts. Here they wear red shirts. And they look very orderly. They drive city trucks. They do maintenance. They surveil the area just like police, make sure nothing bad is happening. They, on a personal level, do a fine job. And we should commend each one of them personally. But I'm undercutting your premise. I believe we don't need this organization. We have plenty of police downtown that do a fine work. Now, if Downtown Austin Alliance wants to provide for their own private force, go for it. I'm all for it. Let's make the Downtown Rangers a private organization. But I don't think we should be giving taxpayer money to a group that's completely unnecessary. We need to start protecting our citizens' rights, encouraging them to speak in front of the council, Mr. Mayor, instead of discouraging and taking a legal action to stop me from speaking. So I will have to be forced now to take further action. Please vote no on this item. Thank you.
Your time has expired, and just for your information, the Downtown Rangers are not paid for by the city. They're paid for by the DAA.
Yeah,
correct.
Thank you.
Ronnie Reeferseed.
I'm Ronnie Reeferseed. I'm sorry if that bothers you, but not really. And again, this I'm just worried about this police grant of $30,000 more dollars. We need facts. Why do they need $30,000 more? And more important, in agreement with Clay, I don't think the need has been demonstrated. And Downtown Austin Alliance, what are their motives? Why do we have to finance their needs? I mean, again, I agree with what Clay was saying. And again, we can't afford this. Or maybe you all don't mind spending taxpayer money, but as a poor person, it makes me very sad when I see these frivolous things just be thrown up there. And well, I guess we'll go along with that. Well, we'll do it. It's not your money to waste. It's our money. We're the ones who ought to be in charge here. And again, what Clay was saying, we don't need to be treated like children. We have a right to speak, and we have a right to make noise. We have a right to sing. We have a right to yell. And that's the basis of freedom of political speech. And if you're unsure about it, you might check the Constitution, and or the Supreme Court, which is time and time and time and time again, said, no, you authority figures, you don't have the right to take anybody's First Amendment speech. Not once a month, not once every 3 times, never. So y'all got to study the Constitution. We'll all be better off. Thanks a lot.
Those are all the speakers that we have on item 33. Councilmember Spellman.
Difficult though it is for me to bring myself to agree with a guy who habitually wears a Ron Paul T-shirt. I have been looking in the backup for this item and found to my dismay that we don't have a justification for $30,000 more to the Downtown Rangers program. Could somebody provide one for me? Why are we putting $30,000 more into the Downtown Rangers program, which is a fine program and I think very well worth the money, but we ought to justify an additional expenditure?